Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about another exponent rule, and we're going to cover powers of monomials, or what we like to say is a power to a power. And there is a power rule, okay? If you see this written here, this is x to the a power, all raised to the b power. And if you see an exponent just outside the parentheses, you're going to multiply the exponents. So this becomes x to whatever a times b is. Okay, so I'll show you an easy one here. X squared, x to the second power, all to the fifth power. See, this is a power to a power. If you'll notice, if you see a parentheses and you see an exponent right outside the parentheses out here to the right, then that means everything inside the parentheses is being raised to that power. So for this problem, it says x to the second power raised to the fifth power. And in this case, we're going to use the power rule where you multiply the exponents. So you get x to the 10th, 2 times 5. Here, you've got two different variables, so you do them individually. So the m to the 7th, n to the 4th, all to the 4th power, you're going to multiply the exponents on the inside times the 1 on the outside, but individually. So we'll do the m first. So this will become m to the 7 times 4 is 28. And n to the 4 times 4 is 16. So you get m to the 28th, n to the 16th. Okay, look at this one. C, d to the second power, all to the third power. See, in all of these, they have that exponent right outside the parentheses. So I'm going to raise both of these to that power. So this c, remember, it has a 1 on it. Don't forget. So c to the 1 times 3 is c to the third. And the d to the second power, 2 times 3 is 6. So we get c to the third, d to the sixth power. So that's that's one of the tricky parts, is when your variable doesn't have an exponent on it, you have to remember that there's a 1 there. Also, now what if we start throwing some coefficients in here? Okay, this is going to be probably the trickiest part of this. I have 5x to the 7th to the second power. You have the exponent right outside the parentheses again. So what are we going to do with this coefficient? Well, we're going to raise the coefficient to the given power, which means I'm going to do 5 to the second power. So 5 to the second power, and then x, 7 times 2 is 14. Well, now I can keep going because 5 to the second power, that means 5 times 5, which would be 25, and then x to the 14th, and that would be my answer. So what the tricky part is, you have to remember, if there's a coefficient, you have to raise it to that power. So for example, for this problem, what students want to do is this. Well, that's x 2 times 5 is 10, and y 2 times 5, y to the first, so 1 times 5 is 5. And this is an incorrect answer. This is not right because I forgot to raise the coefficient to that power. So don't do that. The variables were correct. So, but the coefficient here, this 2, the big 2, I have to raise that to the fifth power as well. And then the x, 2 times 5 is 10, and y, 1 times 5 is 5. And now I have to finish this because I can figure out what 2 to the fifth power is. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 32. X to the 10th, y to the 5th. Okay. Number 8, negative 3 to the third power. I have to take the coefficient to that power, and then x would be 2 times 3 is 6. Well, negative 3 to the third power is not negative 9. Negative 3 to the third power means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, which would be negative 27x to the 6th. Okay? And just when you thought that you figured out how to do this, we're going to go back and we're going to throw in some of the other rules that we've already learned. For example, number 10. Here, see the exponent right outside the parentheses? So I'm going to multiply here. But this one does not have a parentheses. So I'm going to save this guy over here for a minute. And right now I'm going to give this my attention. X 3 times 3 is 9, and y 3 times 3 is 9, and then times x y to the second. So I've just used the power rule, and now I need to use the rule we learned last week is when you're multiplying, what do you do with the exponents? You add them. So my new exponent on the x's, there's 9 and 1 there, make 10, and y, 9 and 2, added together make 11. So I use the power rule to multiply first to get rid of that parentheses, and then when I multiply these powers, I add the exponents. So let's look at number 12. That's a 2. So I need -2, this -2, the coefficient, to the second power, a to the second power, b to the 2 times 2 is 4, times, oh, we got another one over here. So I've got this 2. So I need to take the 3 to the second power, a to the fourth, 2 times 2, and b to the 1 times 2 is 2, using the power rule. Now, figure out what -2 squared is. -2 times -2 is 4a squared b to the fourth, times 3 squared is 9, a to the fourth, b to the second. See, there's a lot you got to keep up with. So take it step by step. And now I've got the multiplication rule. When I multiply, remember I multiply the coefficients. 4 times 9 is 36. Keep the bases and add the exponents. So on the a's, I've got 2 here and 4 there. And on the b's, I have 4 there and 2 there. So that would be my final answer. Okay, let's look at some geometry applications for this. Find the perimeter and area. Well, the perimeter means the distance around. And if this is a rectangle, if this side's 12x, this side's 12x. And if this side's 5x squared, this side's 5x squared. So the perimeter is just all sides added up. So I'm going to take 5x squared plus the other side, 5x squared, plus 12x, plus 12x. If I add those together, that's the perimeter. Well, I can add as long as they're like terms. 5x squared and 5x squared make 10x squared. 12x plus 12x make 24x, and I can't add those together. So this is the perimeter, expressed as a polynomial here. Okay, what about area? Well, area is when you multiply the base times the height or the length times the width. So this times this. So the area is going to equal 5x squared times 12x. Well, this is what we just learned. Actually, this is what we learned in the last lesson. Multiply the coefficients, keep the base, and add the exponents. So the area would be 60x to the third. Okay. Area of a triangle is the same thing. It's base times height, but then you got to divide it by 2. So it would be 3ab, the base, multiplied times the height, and then divided by 2. This is the area. Multiply here, you get 12. A, 1 here and 2 there make 3. B to the second, because there's 1 here and 1 there, all divided by 2. I can divide 12 divided by 2 is 6. A to the third, B squared. So that would be the area. Perimeter, you just add them all up. And you can only add like terms. So 10a squared and 10a squared b and 4a squared b, you can add those together and get 14a squared b plus this 3ab, which I cannot add together. So this would be the perimeter. Okay. So power rules.